Kripa Bole Pai Caitanya Nitai Haha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunatha Haha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunatha Bhatta Yuga Shri Jiva Prabhu Lokanatha Bhatta Yuga Shri Jiva Prabhu Lokanatha Doya Kodoshiya Charya Prabhu Srinivasa Doya Kodoshiya Charya Prabhu Srinivasa Ramachandra Sangamage Narasamadasa Ramachandra Sangamage Narasamadasa Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Daya Karamore Tomarina Kejayalu Jagata Samsare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvakacharya Astatara Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai, Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Gauranga. So we've got the wrong verse on the board, so I'll just read from here. So we're reading from Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, Chapter 1, Text 82. Tamara Charana Mora Vrajapura Gare, Udaya Karaya Yadi Taba Vanchapure. So we'll do word for word. Tamara, your. Charana, lotus feet. Mora, my. Vrajapura Gare, at the home in Vrindavan. Udaya, awaken. Karaya, I do. Yadi, if. Tabe, then. Vancha, desires. Pure, are fulfilled. Translation. The gopis thought, Dear Lord, if your lotus feet again come to our home in Vrindavan, our desire will be fulfilled. Please repeat. The gopis thought, Dear Lord, if your lotus feet again come to our home in Vrindavan, our desires will be fulfilled. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In his Anubhasya, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur comments, the gopis are purely engaged in the service of the Lord without motive. They are not captivated by the opulence of Krishna, nor by the understanding he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Naturally, the gopis were inclined to love Krishna, for he was an attractive young boy of Vrindavan village. Being village girls, they were not very much attracted to the field of Kurukshetra, where Krishna was present with elephants, horses, and royal dress. Indeed, they did not very much appreciate Krishna in that atmosphere. Krishna was not attracted to the opulence or beauty, personal beauty of the gopis, but by their pure devotional service. Similarly, the gopis were attracted to Krishna as a cowherd boy, not in a sophisticated guise. Lord Krishna is inconceivably powerful. To understand him, great yogis and saintly persons give up all material engagements and meditate upon him. Similarly, those who are overly attracted to material enjoyment, to enhancement of material opulence, to family maintenance, or to liberation from the entanglement of this material world, take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But such activities and motivations are unknown to the gopis. They are not at all expert in executing such auspicious activities. Already transcendentally enlightened, they simply engage their purified senses and the service of the Lord in the remote village of Vrindavan. The gopis are not interested in dry speculation and the arts in music, or other conditions of material life. They are bereft of all understanding of material enjoyment and renunciation. Their only desire is to see Krishna return and enjoy spiritual transcendental pastimes with them. The gopis want him simply to stay in Vrindavan so they can render service to him for his pleasure. There is not even a tinge of personal sense gratification. Translation again. The gopis thought, Dear Lord, if your lotus feet again come to our home in Vrindavan, our desire will be fulfilled. Om Jnana Timananda Amritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So this pastime, it's taking place in the area called Kurukshetra. So when we think about Kurukshetra, we generally think about the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where the war took place 5,000 years ago against the Pandavas and the Kauravas. But actually, the place Kurukshetra is actually a lot more than this. It's actually a place of pilgrimage. In the first verse of the Bhagavad Gita, Dhritarashtra says, Dhritarashtra avacha, Dharmashetra Kurukshetra samaveda yuyutsavaha, mamikam pandavaschaiva, kim akurvata Sanjaya. O Sanjaya, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do after assembling in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, being desirous to fight? So the words used here are Dharmashetra, the place of pilgrimage. So in the purport to that verse, Prabhupada says that this place, Kurukshetra, has been a holy place since time immemorial. And in this regard, Dhritarashtra, he's really worried because he knows that the sons of Pandu, they are the righteous ones, and they also have Lord Krishna on their side. Whereas his sons, especially Duryodhana, he's very... He's not a very good person, and especially due to his envy of the pure Vaishnavas. And so he knows that his sons will be at a disadvantage. So since Kurukshetra is a holy place, then Krishna, at the time of the eclipse, him and the residents of Dwarka, they gathered in Kurukshetra because eclipses, they're actually very inauspicious. So in Vedic culture, the people, they'd go to these auspicious places during the eclipse to protect themselves. And we saw here recently on the 29th of March, we also had an eclipse, and it was very inauspicious. And we actually saw that I think on the same day in Myanmar, they had that big earthquake, and thousands of people died. So this is why, eclipses are very inauspicious, and this is why this pastime is actually taking place there. So I was listening to a talk by Indradyumna Swami, and it was very interesting. He was telling some facts about Kurukshetra, and I'd like to share them because unless any of us have actually been to Kurukshetra, I don't think we would know about a lot of these facts. So in Satya Yuga, the main holy place was Kurukshetra. In Treta Yuga, it was Pushkar. In Dwapara Yuga, it was Namasharanya. So Namasharanya, we know from the beginning of the Bhagavatam that the sages, Sutta Goswami and the sages, they gathered in the place of Namasharanya to perform 1,000-year sacrifice for the benefit of the people of Kali Yuga. Because these sages are Trikalagya, they can see past, present, and future. They could see how sinful the age of Kali was going to be. So, due to their great compassion, they're in this holy place of Namasharanya to pray for the benefit of all. And in Kali Yuga, it is Navadvip Mayapur, the land of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's also stated that when Lord Brahma created specifically this earth planet, he sat in the middle of Brahma Sarovara, which is a big lake at Kurukshetra. It's also stated that it was in Kurukshetra that Bali Maharaj gave the entire universe to Vamanadev when the Lord asked him for 3 steps of land, and the pastime can be read in the 8th canto. Also, after Parashuram killed 21 generations of Kshatriyas, he collected their blood there in 5 lakes called Panchasamantaka. It was here also that Lord Parashurama performed penance for killing so many Kshatriyas, and that's to be found in Canto 9. So the land of Kurukshetra, it was also known by many names previously, but it became known as Kurukshetra after King Kuru, who was a forefather of the Pandavas and the Kurus. And he settled there on the banks of the Saraswati River, which was flowing at that time to practice austerities. So Kuru Maharaj, he tilled the land with a golden plough, and that golden plough, it was pulled by the bull of Lord Shiva, which is Nandi, and also the buffalo of Lord Yamaraj. And so this yielded 8 religious virtues, which were truth, yoga, kindness, purity, charity, forgiveness, austerity, and celibacy. Lord Krishna, he was so pleased when all these wonderful qualities were manifest by King Kuru that he gave him a blessing. He said, "My dear King Kuru, because of this virtuous activity you have done in bringing forth the best of qualities, this land will be known after you as Kurukshetra, the place of King Kuru." And the second blessing he gave King Kuru was that anyone who dies there will be liberated. So for devotees in ISKCON, normally when they leave their body and if they go to the Holy Dham, they will go to actually Mayapur or Vrindavan Dham. So Mayapur is known as Audarya Dham, which is the land of mercy, and Krishna's Vrindavan is the land of sweetness. And we see with the example of our own dear Srila Prabhupada, that when Srila Prabhupada was leaving, he went to Vrindavan. And it's not like Prabhupada needed to go to Vrindavan, because Prabhupada is such a Mahabhagava, he's such a great devotee of the Lord that wherever he is, he turns that place into Vrindavan. But just to teach by example, Srila Prabhupada, he went to Vrindavan to leave his body. So Pulatsya Muni, he once described the glories of Kurukshetra. He said, "Go to Kurukshetra, which fulfills all desires. By seeing that place, all living entities are freed from their sins." He said, even if one says, "I will go to Kurukshetra," he is free from sins. Therefore, he concluded by saying, if the dust of Kurukshetra raised by the wind touches a great sinner, that sinner is freed from his sins, and he immediately attains the highest abode. So in Dwapara Kali Yuga, it wasn't only just a spiritually potent place, it was also very beautiful. It had lots of lotus-filled lakes, there's cuckoo birds everywhere, green pastures. That in that time, the people used to say that that one who lives in Kurukshetra is like living in Swarga. So Swarga is the heavenly planets. It's not the spiritual world, but it's the heavenly planets where the demigods are residing. So we know Kurukshetra for 2 reasons. One is the battle, and then the second is the meeting of Krishna with the inhabitants of Vrindavan at the occasion of the solar eclipse. So we know Krishna left Vrindavan when he was a teenager to kill Kamsa, and he was supposed to have been gone for just a few days. But Krishna, he actually never came back. And there's actually one deity of Lota Baba who's sitting at the tip of Govardhana, who's still waiting for Krishna to come back. And I'd actually just like to read about him. Indradyumna Swami mentioned about him, and it's actually a very, very sweet pastime, so I'd just like to mention this. This is, I'm reading from Navaraja Mahima, which is written by His Holiness Shivaram Swami. So, from Airavata's footprint, I returned to Panchari and then continued south to visit Lota, the cowherd friend of Krishna, also known as Panchari Ki Lota, because of his connection to this area. Lota is very stout. Like the other cowherd boys, he used to share with Krishna the lunch his mother has packed, and in turn the lunch his mother Yashoda had sent with Krishna and Balaram. The 2 very similar stories explain why Lota continued to sit between a tree by Govardhana Hill, and why after such a long time he remains as stout and strong as ever. The first story tells how on the day Akrura was taking Krishna and Balaram to Mathura, Lota came here to meet his friend Krishna, as usual, somehow unaware of the 2 brothers' imminent departure. When Krishna and Balaram finally appeared, they were not with their friends or the cows, but riding on a chariot with Akrura. Confused, Lota asked Krishna where he and his brother were going. Krishna answered, "King Kamsa has asked us to visit Mathura for a wrestling match." Lota said, "But when will you be back?" Krishna replied, "Sometime soon, probably the day after tomorrow." Lota was perplexed. Krishna had never left Vrindavan before, and he had never wrestled with anyone other than the cowherd boys, and even that was just for fun. How would he fare against real wrestlers? Thinking he would tempt Krishna to stay in Vrindavan, Lota offered his lunch to his friends. "My mother cooked some delicious kachoris for us. Come on, let's share them before you go." Krishna's eyes welled up with tears of love. He wanted to stay, but he simply had to go. There was no choice. Meanwhile, Akrura repeatedly glanced over his shoulder to remind Krishna of their mission. "Give us your lunch," suggested Krishna, "and we will eat it on the way." Tears fell from his eyes. Lota immediately swung his lunch pack to the side of the chariot and into Krishna's trembling hands. "If you are determined to go," said Lota, "I will wait here till you come back. And if you don't come back the day after tomorrow, I will stay here until you do." By this time, Lota was crying too. Krishna could only nod his head sadly in response. As Akrura started the chariot, Krishna placed his hand on his uncle's shoulders to stop. "What will you eat?" Krishna asked Lota. His friend replied, "I won't have an appetite for anything until you return." Krishna smiled. "Then I will pray to Lord Narayan that if you don't eat, you will neither lose weight nor get hungry." The two boys laughed as Akrura again started the horses. Lota and Krishna continued to wave to each other until the chariots turned the bend around Sutalavan near Samai and went out of sight. So Krishna, he was in Dwarka reigning as a king, and at the occasion of the solar eclipse, he went with the residents of Vrindavan to Kurukshetra. And at that time, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they heard that Krishna was at Kurukshetra, and so they all decided to go because they wanted to see Krishna again. And because they actually really loved Krishna so much, all they ever thought about was Krishna. And as Lord Caitanya says, each moment was just like 12 years or more. The separation was so great for them. So the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they loaded their bullock carts and they started for Vrindavan. And on the way to Vrindavan, they just were in complete silence. They were just so wanting to see Krishna again that they actually didn't eat or sleep on the way. And as they were nearing Kurukshetra, they could smell the aroma of Krishna's transcendental body. So there's 4 scents that are given for the smell of Krishna's transcendental aroma. Does anyone know Krishna's aromas? Sandalwood? No? No? Sorry? A guru? Yeah, a guru is one of them. Musk? And there's 2. And there's saffron and camphor. And they would be in the perfect composition. So the gopis, the Goswamis, they say that Krishna's group arrived first, and then the Vrajvasis came. So Krishna, first of all, he met with Nanda and Yashoda, and they were so overjoyed to see Krishna again that they were hugging him, and they put Krishna on their lap. Even though he's very big still, he's still their child. So they were showering him with so much love. And then after that, Krishna, he met with the cowherd boys and the other inhabitants of Vrindavan who came to see him. And finally, he searched out for the gopis. And when he saw the gopis, Radharani, she was particularly overwhelmed. And at that time, she spoke to her friend Lalita, quite a famous verse. "My dear friend, now I've met my dear and old friend Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani, and we are now meeting together. It is very pleasant, but I would like to go back to the banks of the Yamuna, beneath the trees of the forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing the fifth note within the forest of Vrindavan. So when Lord Caitanya was dancing in front of the Rath Yatra cart at Jagannath Puri, he recited a verse from a love song that was from a Sanskrit drama. And this song is, "That very personality who stole away my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also that same lover, and still my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the banks of the River, under the Vatasi tree. That is my desire." So we know Krishna has his internal and external reasons for appearing as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So his internal reason is to taste this love of Sri Radha, which he doesn't understand because it's so intense and so deep. So when he's in front of the Rath Yatra cart, he's in that mood, and he's, as Lord Krishna is experiencing this love of Radha, and in this song it's revealing Radha's emotion for Krishna. So it said that when Lord Chaitanya, when he was reciting this verse, Swarup Damodar was there, and Swarup Damodar, he could actually understand the deeper meaning of this verse. And the reason that Swarup Damodar understands is because in Krishna Lila he is Lalita Devi. So Lalita Devi, she is the most intimate companion of Srimati Radharani, so she understands her mood. It's also said that one time Rupa Goswami was there, and Rupa Goswami, because his position is also his Rupa Manjari, which is he's the leader of all the maidservants, so he very intimately understands Sri Radha's mood. So going back to the gopis, and with tears in their eyes, they request Krishna to come back to Vrindavan. And he asks the gopis to think it over. And in the weeks that follows, during the night, he'll have rasa dance with the gopis. Then after 3 months of being there at Kurukshetra, most of the pilgrims, they've decided to leave and they go home. But the gopis are still waiting for Krishna to give them an answer. Is he going to come back to Vrindavan? So Krishna, he consults with Devaki and Vasudev whether he should go, and they say, yes, you can go, but then Krishna tells them, I will come, but I need to kill some demons first, so I'm not going to come yet. So then the inhabitants, they go back, but Sri Radha, she knows in her heart that Krishna, he's not going to come back, and she just bursts out crying. So the gopis, they are the highest devotees of the Lord. From the very beginning, they don't know anything in their life but Krishna. Krishna, he's their very life and soul. They're so attached to Krishna that even the examples given that they can't tolerate not seeing Krishna for a second. Even we hear about the gopis, they're very angry with Lord Brahma because Lord Brahma's created eyelids, and with eyelids we blink. And so because they're blinking, for that millisecond they can't see Krishna, so that really affects the gopis, like, why did you do this? Why did you make these eyelids? This is a very foolish thing that you have done. So it's also mentioned in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam that as soon as Krishna became visible to the gopis took him inside their hearts through their eyes and embraced him to their full satisfaction. And even though it was only mentally that they were embracing Krishna, they became so ecstatic and overwhelmed with joy that even for the time being they forgot themselves. So Krishna, he's not attracted to the gopis, as it says in the purport, because of their beauty, because of their opulence. Another name for Krishna is Bhagavan. He's the possessor of all opulences. And the opulences mentioned are strength, fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation. So all good qualities reside in Krishna. Krishna is perfect and complete, as it says in Isha Upanishads, Om Panam Adam Punam Idam. So Krishna doesn't need anything else. He's complete in himself. But the one thing that is attractive to Krishna is pure love, because this pure love that is free from any selfish motivation, and it's solely for Krishna's pleasure. And with this kind of love, Krishna, he has nothing in his possession to give, but the thing he will give, he'll give his very self. So Krishna, it's not very easy to get pure devotional service. Not that it's not possible, it's definitely possible, but it's not easy. Because Krishna, he will give his very self to such a devotee. So now, Rath Yatra, we'll be experiencing Rath Yatra soon, in 3 weeks from today, in Brisbane. It's a very, very wonderful festival, and all around the world. Actually, from the very, very early days, Srila Prabhupada, he wanted to establish this Rath Yatra festival everywhere. And I read how Shama Sundar, from very early on in England, Prabhupada told him to make the cart, and he made this massive big cart, and on its first journey, the wheel fell off, and it was a big disaster, and he was so upset, and he told Srila Prabhupada he was devastated. But Prabhupada was like, hey, yeah, no, you'll learn from your mistakes, next time will be better, and he did learn from his mistakes. This is the one time of year that the Lord actually leaves the temple and goes out on the street, and he gives his mercy to everyone. So it's a very wonderful festival, and there's many moods that people have when they see the Rath Yatra cart. Just people on the street, they see the festival and they may think, oh, this is a very wonderful festival. The devotees are dancing, beautiful cart, beautiful figures on the cart, and they'll make spiritual advancement by this. And others, they might see devotees pulling the ropes, and they'll go and pull the ropes too, but they may not understand the spiritual significance, but they do it and they're happy, and they're also making a lot of spiritual advancement. And a devotee may pull the cart and he'll be thinking, yeah, I'm making spiritual advancement, this is very beautiful. But for devotees who actually understand the true meaning of Rath Yatra, they pull the rope and they praying to the Lord, please, my Lord, please come back to Vrindavan. Please come back to the gopis, to your devotees who really love you so much. So these ropes, they're the ropes of love. And we're meditating on the desires of the gopis to bring Krishna back to Vrindavan. So, yeah, it's something to look forward to. It's definitely a very, very wonderful festival, and it's a big honor to pull the cart of Lord Jagannath. Okay, I'm going to finish. Does anyone have any comments or any questions or any Krishna Rupa?
Thank you very much for the lovely class, Srimati Prabhu. I was just a couple of comments, if that's okay. I have a very, very early photo of our first Rath Yatra, and it was just on a flatbed truck with the deities on it. And I think in Shamasundar's memoirs, he talks about how something strange with the truck, and they're almost getting carbon monoxide poisoning from the fumes. I can't remember all the details about that, but I think it's in his book. And then the other thing I wanted to say was, last night I was listening to a Prabhupada memory, and the devotee, I forget his name, but he was talking about the early days in Vrindavan. And Prabhupada was going around the property, and he saw two go-downs. For those who don't know, go-downs just a very, very simple shed. And they were just made out of tin, and they were locked. So Prabhupada said, "What's in there?" And the devotee said, "Oh, I don't know, Srila Prabhupada." And he said, "Get the keys." And they called Gananava, who was the temple president at the time, and he opened the lock, and there was cement in there. And Prabhupada walked in, looked around. He said, this place will be the place of my samadhi. Oh. So that's how, I didn't know that before, but Prabhupada selected the site way, way before. And Gunanava Prabhu, if we could ever get him to come here on a Prabhupada festival, he could spend all day without stopping talking about Prabhupada. It's just, his association is so, because he was the temple president there, he had a lot of association with Srila Prabhupada. And a few years ago, Ambika and Rasarani and I went up that way and we spent the day with Gunanava and his wife. And the whole day, like literally from the minute he picked us up till he dropped us back to our hotel, it was just full of Prabhupada Katha and a lot that I'd never heard before. So we should really try and get him to come down and do a Prabhupada Katha weekend.
Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Krishna Rupa Prabhu. Yeah, we're so fortunate to have these wonderful disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and it's really important to get the nectar from them of their time with Srila Prabhupada. And when you talk to Srila Prabhupada disciples, it's so wonderful because you really feel their love for Srila Prabhupada, and it's so enlivening, and it's really, really wonderful. So while they're with us, it's very wonderful to actually take advantage of their amazing association. And yeah, I've heard classes by Shutarupa Puru as well, and her travels with Prabhupada as his secretary and as his cook as well, and it's just they just talk so much nectar, and then they can't stop because it's just so wonderful. Is there any more comments or questions?
Thank you for the class. You mentioned that when we pull the rope, then we are meditating on the gopis' mood of bringing Krishna back. And you also mentioned that to get pure devotional service is not easy, though it is possible, that because Krishna gives himself. So when we're going about our service, how do we keep checking our mood, that it's in the correct service mood and not that I'm enjoying, or like sometimes people may go and they say, I'm beautiful, I'm like a gopi, or someone say, oh, you look like a gopi, but the internal mood of anyone who's serving Krishna is always not about themselves, it's about Krishna. But how to check and how to always
Well, as we go along in devotional service, in the beginning, we just do it more mechanically, and we carry on. But as a process of devotional service, as we go along in our devotional service, and through the knowledge, through the purification, through association, Krishna purifies us from within, and we actually develop the right mentality. Anything that's in there that we have that is impeding our service to Krishna, Krishna will knock it out of us. So this purification process, it's there, and we all know when the mentality is not right, especially as we go on in devotional service. We know Krishna's the super soul in the heart, and we feel it. Okay, we're doing this service, and no, this mentality is not right. I'm doing it for my own glorification, I'm doing it for some motivation that's not for Krishna's pleasure, then within ourselves the super soul will remind us, actually, no, this is not right. And so Krishna's very kind. He's always with us as our dear friend, and he's always for a devotee, he's always holding our hand, and if one is sincere, Krishna will he'll always do what's best for the devotee, and he'll always work for the devotee's purification as long as the devotee sticks on the path. And of course, there's Guru Sadhu Shastra there to keep us on the straight and narrow, and to correct our mentality as well, because they can also see through our actions and how we are as devotees, how we need improvement. And by their association, we can definitely improve. And if any of the older devotees would like to add? Yes, Prabhu? It's the wrong verse, Prabhu. It's actually 82. Yeah, this is a different verse. You're probably like, what? Okay, thank you all very much. Sri Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.